Welcome to Sister Sessions, a podcast where two sisters on very different journeys explore what it means to live spiritually in today's world. My sister, Jenny Fairbank, is the co-founder and spiritual director of Wisdom Pathways, a yoga and meditation teacher, and a somatic healer devoted to guiding others toward inner peace. And I'm Susie Gustin, a mom of three, producer and owner of Red City Live Entertainment, embracing life's joys while searching for deeper meaning. Together, we have honest, relatable conversations about finding balance, purpose, and connection in everyday life. So, settle in. You're exactly where you need to be. Welcome to Sister Sessions. Hello, everyone. You have connected with Sister Sessions podcast. I'm Susie Gustin with my co-host and sister, Jenny Fairbank.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sister Sessions.
And as you can see, we are not alone today. We have a very special guest that Jenny and I are honored and excited to share with you. We have joining us today is Karen Kubicko. Karen is an author, healer, and past life regression expert. Karen helps people remember who they really are, across lifetimes, so that they can live with more love, peace, and purpose today. In 2005, Karen began remembering her past lives through regression. Since then, she has recovered memories from more than 200 of her past lifetimes, which have led to the healing of chronic asthma and the discovery of her life's passion and purpose. Karen believes that we are here in the classroom of life to learn about our soul's truths and find the inherent joy of living through the heart. Please welcome Karen Kubicko.
Oh, thanks. I'm so glad you guys invited me to be on your show. I really do appreciate that. You guys were very fun to chat with before we recorded today, for sure.
Yeah, thank you, Karen, so much. You know, I feel like our session, when we talked, I could have talked to you all day long, and it was so much.
For sure. No, it's a good time. I mean, we're connecting with spirit guides and angels and whatever information that you have. I guess whatever information that you wanted to find out, the spirit guides will talk to me about. It's a really great time.
Well, really quickly, I just want to interject that to our listeners, Jenny and I both separately had the pleasure of getting different kinds of readings from Karen.
For sure.
If you want to go more into that, Jenny.
Well, I mean, you know, Karen and I feel like are soul sisters and, you know, colleagues because we work in similar ways, differently, of course, but we serve in similar ways. And it was so beautiful to connect with you, Karen, and to really hear a little bit more about you and your story. And then also you connecting me with my spirit guides that I talk with regularly. But you deepened that in a sense for me and gave me some more insight because as I've shared with you, this is newer for me to be channeling. It's only been about a year.
Yeah.
So I am.
You have.
What did you say?
It's a beautiful gift.
Yes, it is. I'm really acknowledging that and allowing myself to embrace it and to trust myself. And I feel like, and as you and I both, I think, have this passion to help others to find their true self, right?
Sure.
And to tap into their highest self. That's been my mission, I've realized over the past couple weeks for like my whole life, and doing it in different ways. And I'd love to hear it because we didn't get to talk about how you started this. All came. So if you wouldn't mind sharing like the beginnings of this for you.
Wow. Okay. So far back do you want to go? I mean, not a lifetime, to be honest, where I mean, and that's the truth. When we incarnated here for the first time on this planet, this earth, this is one school, if you will, that we can choose to learn and to grow. And I feel like it started then. Isn't that funny? But it was really more about really connecting in to help the earth evolve to a more intuitive, loving space for us all to grow and learn in that kind of way. But in this current lifetime, I really had a little teeny bit of an inkling and connected with my own spirit guides whenever I was a very young child. And I just called them ghosts. I grew up Catholic. I didn't really have a way of understanding what they were. I just called them ghosts because of the book Casper the Friendly Ghost we had when we were children. It's true. And so when I talked to my parents about it, they're like, there's no such thing as ghosts. And so I just really blew it off. And I remember very distinctly the day I was sitting in my bedroom and I had my hands on covering my face like this, so I couldn't see a girl and a boy that were sitting there in my bedroom. And I said, not supposed to see you. I'm not supposed to hear you. It was devastating because I actually thought for most of my life they were my two children that were going to be born to me or something, but they were in fact my spirit guides, Lena and Daniel. And so when I got reacquainted with them many years later, how that happened then is, I think, what you're asking, though. It's really when I had my second child was being born. We both almost died during that process, and it was a very emergent C-section. And I know I was floating above the OR where they were performing that, and I have clear memories of being above, being able to see and view everything that was going on, knowing that whole room was filled with other people, their spirit guides, my child's spirit guides, the doctors and the people who are working there, and angels and all that kind of stuff. It was very different experience. I had clear knowledge about what was happening, and meanwhile I'm under, you know what I mean?
And
So
Karen, besides observing that and seeing that, what were you feeling at that moment when you were seeing yourself above?
The funny thing is that when I spoke to my one friend about it originally, because I didn't even realize it's a near-death experience, right? And so I definitely felt very much type A. Make sure you guys are following that. Don't forget to pay attention to this. Make sure you inspire them for that. Blah, 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 blah. That's kind of, I felt like that's what was happening, which is.
Did you have any fear?
No.
No,
I felt like, I don't know how to explain it. I guess I felt like I was really interacting with them to make sure that they were helping the people who were helping me and my child.
Wow.
Yeah, it was bizarre.
Were you alone or were your spirit guides with you?
Oh, no. My spirit guides were definitely there for sure. For sure. It feels like I'm remembering it right now as we're talking about it. It feels like a very crowded room. And the OR, the operating room, I guess that's the OR. It feels very small. I mean, and the walls seemed like a weird color of creamish green. And it was definitely because of the lights that they had everywhere because of that color. But I remember being above and just so many. Archangel Raphael was over here. You're making me remember all this. That's so interesting. Archangel Raphael was over here, kind of overseeing it all, very big wings displayed. And then over here were my spirit guides, kind of to my right. So I definitely feel like they were all conversing and talking during that experience for sure.
And then what happened? Well, yes, and then so you're watching yourself, your body, your physical body being operated on. You're guiding all these people. Make sure, don't forget.
Yeah.
All of this. And then what happens?
So and then the next thing I know is I'm being wheeled away and frantic, worrying about my child and wanted to check on them. Like I remember them talking about, I have lucid memories of this. I mean, my child's 23 now, so this is like a minute ago, but I have memories of them saying she needs to see her child, make sure they're okay, and let them bond and all that kind of stuff. And I remember being still with all kind of stuff hooked up to me, wheeled into the NICU, where a NICU is a neonatal intensive care unit, where they were at with all kind of tubes and things connected to them, and them letting me like touch her hand and stuff at that moment to make sure.
Do you recall coming back into your body?
So the funny thing is that's probably not what we wanted to talk about here, but that was a big deal trauma moment because I felt like I ruined her. You know what I mean? I felt like I broke her because because my uterus and the vagina didn't participate correctly. I'm like, my body affected her in a detrimental way. And they actually thought that she was brain dead and everything. And so they had to check all that. So I actually don't remember going into my body. I felt very robotic, going through the motions for maybe a few weeks after that experience, interestingly. Interesting question that you asked. Yeah. Yeah, it was just because I think of the shock and the concern over what was happening. I felt very out of body. But I feel like that's not unlike a normal, quote unquote, near death experience.
Yeah.
Where you feel connected with your humanness into your physical body, grounded. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I know that we want to get on the topic for sure throughout this episode about connecting with your spirit guides and talking to our listeners about what that looks like. But before we do, we definitely wanted to hear your background and all of the experiences you went through to get to where you are now.
Okay.
So I will ask you, what role do angels or spirit guides play in your personal life today?
Well, I work with them, I think, every day. I mean, I'm working with them for other people when I'm talking to them about whatever it is that they've come to me for, whether it's a past life regression or an intuitive reading of some type. It's almost, if you think about it like this, your spirit guides and angels, and that's not discluding your past or loved ones. That's a whole other fun group that can help inspire and help you along in your current human life. But think of it like it's your team and you're the coach and you don't really know you have this team rooting for you, or your cheerleaders, I guess I should say. Someone's telling me to say cheerleaders instead of team. Really, because like if you're going through the motions of your day and you might feel like you're on the wrong path or on the right path, you have this group that are like, hey, make sure you like answer this phone call. Don't forget to check your emails because there might be something important there. To help you along whatever it is that's making you excited to be in this life right now.
So is that what someone who doesn't speak in the language of spirituality would call intuition, or is that different?
No, I think that you're not wrong, because if you are being, it's a funny thing, because if you have spirit guides, we'll just go with the spirit guides because angels are the same, but spirit guides it feels different. The spirit guides seem to like really inspire you with day-to-day stuff, where angels are more, hey, you need to heal that one thing right there. I mean, don't forget about that. Like Raphael is the angel that's really, I feel like he's in charge of like all the healing angels for very deep healing types of things. And so like he might inspire you to maybe get more into helping others to heal through energy work or channeling like Jenny does, or Reiki or anything like that, and really inspire you with that kind of thought. But your spirit guides would most likely, like an example they're giving me right now would be to inspire me to do this podcast with you guys. Do you know what I mean? And be like, that's a great idea. Don't forget to email them back. All that kind of stuff, where you're like, you might get sidetracked where doing other things like whatever else you're working on, or you might be in the middle of working during your regular job or whatever. And then you're like, nope, you got to make sure you do this. Make sure you do that. They're like, kind of putting that thought back in your mind to and nudging you forward into in a path that would be best for you.
Do the spirit guides have a sense of humor?
Of course they do.
Yeah?
They absolutely do. Yes, I have funny examples about that. But there is like, gosh, there's too many examples. They're giving me all at once. So like, for example, Susie, for whatever reason, one of your spirit guides has shown me the color green. Now, you and I both know that the color green has to do with your heart chakra, but this gentleman that's standing there right now, they're telling me he's your spirit guide, and he's shown me a 4-leaf clover just for you. And he's talking about luck. So I don't know how into Irish stuff you are, but he feels very much like he's trying to shower you with luck, and showing me a green. He's wearing a funny green outfit just for funny, to be funny, because you asked about being funny. And so they're giving me an exact example just for you. And so he's showing me this gigantic, It's big, like this 4-leaf clover that's bright green, and is trying to hand it to you. Because
that makes me feel really happy.
Because like that,
It does.
I mean, but like, I have Daniel, my one main spirit guide in this current lifetime. One time I was remembering a lifetime where I was learning about, through, I guess, experience, that we have exit points that we choose. We could have one main exit point where we choose to pass, or we could have multiple exit points where if we get past a certain point and we've learned so much on an energetic soul level, then we move to the next exit point because we've surpassed that, or we decide on some subconscious level that we wanted to stay here. And so they're showing this to me and helping me understand this knowledge through example, through remembering a past life. And Daniel happened to be there at the end of a past lifetime memory of my death scene. And he was standing there right away. And he's like, I couldn't save your ass this time. I'm like, whoa, he just swore. And I was like, what do you mean this time? And so recently in that moment, I had literally just had an experience when I was visiting Hawaii, walking down a path that I just saw 20 people walk on, and I'm holding my niece's hand. They're probably 3 at the time, maybe 4. And a huge wave rushed up on us and went up to my knees. And I didn't even notice it was happening. I just felt someone holding my feet to the ground so strongly that I couldn't move. And then I can hear a different sister yelling at me, Karen, get out of there. Oh my gosh, get out of there. And I'm like, okay. And I was like weirdly shaken the rest of the day. And so I went and sat and chilled out. Everybody's fine. Nobody got hurt. I just was wet. I didn't even realize what happened, really, because like literally 2 feet to the left of me, it was a 50-foot drop to the ocean there. And so this wave came out of nowhere and washed up on top of here. It was bizarre. And it was very unsettling. And Daniel said, he showed me that whole experience. Had I not gotten to the point in this current life to learn and to really use my solar plexus more and set boundaries and all that kind of stuff in my life and learn more about this kind of stuff, I probably would have been washed over the side along with my niece, and it would have been a bad day. Do you know what I mean? Which gives me chills thinking about it, but that could have been an exit point, right? So he was able to save me at that moment. Whereas in the past life that I was remembering, that was my final day of that life. Does that make sense? So they're able to, like, that was his funny, I couldn't save your ass, but it was definitely, and we laugh about it now, but it was definitely not funny at the moment when I was experiencing that. But it was a great way to segue into how that's connected, in a sense. Yeah.
I love these stories so much. It's incredible to hear the details of these things. And what I wanted to ask you was, you were talking about the voice that comes and like the nudges that you're saying the spirit guides are sharing and helping us. What about our higher self and our highest soul expression? And how can you tell the difference between when it's a spirit guide versus when it's your highest self?
Wow, that's a great question, Jenny.
It is a good question.
I'm asking them for guidance. How about that? Because they are here helping me and helping you at the same time. How do you know the difference? So the way that they're answering me this question is that it's very hard to comprehend, but we're all one. Yes. And so if, like I often teach people to use themselves as a pendulum to help receive a yes by feeling compelled to move forward, or a no to being repelled away from something, or, to the side if you're sitting, whatever. But I try to teach people to remember to connect first to your higher self. You don't want anybody else's interaction or guidance, because then you get the knowledge direct from the higher dimensional aspects of you through all the dimensions, your higher self aspect. The alternative example I give when someone asks me this type of question is, one time when I was in the midst of trying to date again, years ago, I was asking my one spirit guide, Lena, hey, what do you think about this guy? And I'm asking this question through a friend of mine, and he's like, yeah, she's telling me you should date this guy. And so I go out with him for a month or so. And after a month or so, I was like, what are they thinking? You know what I mean? Because it did not work out and it was a learning lesson. And so when I go back and I talk to Lena, I'm like, why did you say that this person was someone I should date? And she was like, oh, Dad, you learned how to speak a little better and stand your ground and stuff like that. I'm like, oh my gosh. So her perspective of what's good for me and what I think is what I want is very different, right?
Oh,
So,
yes.
and it's funny now to think about, but she was definitely trying to help me to learn some type of lesson, to overcome something. Whereas if you were listening to your higher self, should I date this guy? Or straight away you'd be like, no. Do you know what I mean?
But is
Where she
that the
was,
higher self or is that the ego then? Because the ego is the part that will be negative and self-doubt and question and fearful and all of that stuff from what I understand is like there's the ego part, right? That's like attached to outcomes and have expectations and judgments and all of that, right?
sure.
And our higher self, which could also be, as you said, it's so true. We're all one, right? It's
Yeah,
all the same in a way, is that loving, compassionate energy that does have our highest good with intention, that will be sometimes very often what we don't want because our ego might want something different, but what our soul needs is not going to look the same.
oh, that's such a deep question, Jenny.
This is where I go, I can't help myself.
But I mean, and I've contemplated this because I definitely have received some messages and I'm like, and I've asked the question, who's telling me this? And they're like, it doesn't matter. We're all, but when, you know, when I'm working with someone who's new to understanding all of these topics and things, it's a little bit easier to your whole higher self, your whole subconscious is such a huge aspect, energetic aspect that extends through all the dimensions, grounding below us into this earth, connecting to source, and this illuminated channel of connection through all of our chakras, through all the dimensions. We're immense. And the part of us that's in this human at this moment is just a small little part. So back to using yourself as a pendulum, I tell people it's almost you get to feel that flow and that connection through your higher dimensional aspect, that you're setting your ego aside and you have no opinion based on this humanness that we have here in this earth plane, and setting that kind of aside to only get the pure answer of what's for our highest good. Does
Yeah,
that help?
absolutely. I
mean,
completely get that. Yeah.
it's I usually draw a picture because it's easier to comprehend when someone's shown something, but I mean, hopefully our viewers can visualize that with us because we're so much more than this, and then we're all connected. So then we're all one. It's very cool. And the more we heal, the more everyone heals.
So go ahead, Jenny. Go ahead, keep going on that.
Yes. And I just, one more point to that is it's what I always find is crucial is discernment, right? To be able to discern where we are getting our information within ourselves. And that if we are tapped into our highest self, how we know that is what I understand is like, it's a calm feeling that we get. There's just a knowingness. There's not a thought process through it. It's this soft, calm knowing of like, oh yeah, this is what I need to do. And trusting that inner voice.
Trust is so important.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess to your point, I'm contemplating this because I never really thought too hard about it. I definitely know that when I'm connecting to my higher self, I feel and see that flow of energy because the higher dimensions, way up high, closer to source, is where universal consciousness and knowledge comes from. And so that's why your crown chakra looks like a crown. It's reaching up to connect onto these higher dimensions to really receive the information. When I'm speaking to a spirit guide, they look like a person standing over here. And so it's like I'm having, she's funny, my spirit guide saying like a gal pal, which I don't understand why she's saying those words to me, kind of like a powwow kind of interaction with them.
Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, what a gift you have to be able to see. That's so many
That
people
is.
see.
And I have to ask because just for the listeners, we are about to get into it. We're about to talk about how you can connect with your spirit guides. But one more question on my end. Maybe Jenny has one more before we get into it too. But my question is this. So you talked about when you were little and you would see ghosts. That's what you thought in your head,
Sure.
from Casper. And, your parents would just say to you,
No such
they don't
thing.
exist. They don't exist. And you would go to your room and you would try to make them go away. So now, as an adult, fully immersed in this world and, doing this every moment of the day, what do you say to skeptics now? Like your parents were the skeptics when you were little, those don't exist. What do you say to people that say, there's no way this lady is talking about truth? This doesn't exist. Do you bother with that? Do you have something that you present to that kind of situation?
So, I mean, I guess for me personally, it's like I put a mantra or a rule in a sense out there. I only work with people who are open and ready to receive a healing through the help of their spirit guides and angels in some type of way, or receive information from them. So it's literally a rare occasion for me if someone comes to me for a reading that is a skeptic. It's a waste of my time and energy and their time and energy. So it doesn't make any sense. I mean, I have to respect other people's understandings. I mean, if you had met me 20 some years ago, I mean, I didn't even know what chakras were. I didn't have this kind of gift in a sense because I wasn't even tapped into any of this. If you'd have talked to me about higher self and talking to your spirit guides, I'd have been like, I can't help you with that. That's.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No. Yeah.
When did your gifts then appear? Because often, I have read and listened to hundreds of near-death experiences, and very often gifts will come online like this after a near-death experience happens. Is that what happened to you, or how did this arise?
So then there's more to the story, right? So after my second child was born, about 3 months later, I woke up in the middle of the night, and I remember distinctly seeing someone standing at the corner of my room, holding them real loving and looking down at them so loving. And I said, did she wake up to her dad? And nothing. They didn't look up. They didn't respond. Nothing. And I looked over. They're still sleeping. I looked back and they were gone. I was like, who's holding my baby? And so I went to see a psychic for the first time. And he said to me, they have a really strong third eye. And if I don't help her, she'll go crazy. And I'm like, don't even know what a third eye is. And that's not happening. So I looked up stuff on psychic things and I found a book called Children's Past Lives. And I'm like, weird stuff, kids stuff, should be good. But I couldn't put the book down. And through doing all the past life stuff, then I started to talk with my spirit guides again and to really understand on a bigger level who I really was on a soul level. And then fast forward from that time to 2016, which is almost 10 years ago, I had another near-death experience, and that was a very different experience than the first time. And after that experience, I was really not grounded in this energy here in this earth for a while. And I could easily see the other side, and it kind of just stayed.
That's okay. So it was the second near-death experience when it really opened up. Would you please give us the details? I love it.
Karen, I told you Jenny was going to be so excited to talk to you about this.
You did tell me. I mean, I was practicing connecting in with the other side because during a past life regression experience, I had convinced a couple of my friends to help me be in a hypnotic state, a meditative state, so that I could work on my past life stuff. And then one day Lena, my spirit guide, said to me, "You can ask us anything." And I was like, "What do you think she means by that? Anything?" And so then I asked a few of my friends, this is before my second near-death experience, "What do you think she means by that?" And she's like, "Well, I don't know." So I asked some people who I thought would know, and they gave me a list of questions. And I went back into this trance hypnotic state, asked my spirit guide those questions, which, by the way, was a very big, long process to get to. I'd have to remember a past life, go through the death scene, get out the other side where I was interacting and talking with my spirit guide, Lena, at that time. And then I'd say, "Hey, Lena, I have these questions. What do you think?" And then she'd talk to me about all this stuff. And so that was something I only did once in a while. It wasn't an everyday occurrence. And so I was practicing trying to get information on spirit guides and talking with them and really trying to see how many were standing there and getting some guidance or information for whoever I was talking to without being in a hypnotic state. And I was kind of getting okay at it. I had never done a paid reading or anything at that point. And then I had that car wreck. And right after that, it was within months, people were paying me to do readings for them. And I made a painting that kind of shows what I see on the other side. I made them all organized. Spirit guides hang out here, angels hang out there, all your past lives are lined up right over here, and past our people hang out there. I see
Karen, I believe, do I have that? I can share that on here.
You do have that. I believe I know it's on the cover of that information I gave to you, but I
will. Ready? Here you go, listeners. There it is, right there.
Yeah. And so when I had the near death, though, for the second time, you asked more about that. It was, I remember being like, "Oh crap, I think I just got hit," when I was in the car. And I remember feeling a spinning sensation. My car was actually spinning around. And the next thing I saw was this illuminated light above me, and Archangel Joe. And I see her every time I meet someone that potentially has had a near-death experience of some kind. And there's a variety of ways to do that, Jenny. But in this instance, she had her hand reached out to me, like through the light, and I took her hand and she took me up into the light, and we talked. It seemed like an endless amount of time. And they've shown me that they actually took me to like a school and helped me learn some more techniques and things. And then I remember making the decision on, do I want to come back here? And then I was like, I don't want to leave my kids alone. And I remember her taking me on a walk on this land for a future place that I build something. And she's like, "This is where you build it. We're walking on the land right now." And I'm like, this is something I never even considered too deeply. And so it was really kind of neat. And then the next thing I know, I wake up and I'm in my car and totally disoriented for months. It feels like months afterwards. Mostly because of the concussion, I have to say, but mostly also because I was definitely, the way that they show it to me, when somebody wakes up, we have this energy of our dimension here. Then there are higher dimensions. And it's almost like you have consciously pulled those higher dimensions into this current experience in this humanness earth dimension. That conscious connection to them is what wakes up these chakras that are higher and above. That brings that higher awakened knowledge and understanding into this earth experience. And that's what happens when you have a near death. You're consciously aware. It removes any disbeliefs, any rules that might have been put in place human wise to prevent you from connecting to that higher side, the other side, in any kind of way.
So near death experience happens, a tragedy obviously occurs, and you're taken to that side, and you have that experience due to some tragedy that had occurred. Now, a past life regression happens when you're taken to that place through choice, right? Is it the same feeling, like being past the tragedy and there, and then after the
is it the same feeling? Yes and no, because every lifetime is a different way of passing. So, so in one of the books that I wrote, I have 16 of my own past lifetimes. Whoops, wrong one. I just dropped it. Life is just another class. We're going to plug it. But in this book, I mean, I have in
what is the title? Let us see that one more time. Hold that up for us.
Another class.
Life is just another class. One soul's journey through past life regression.
And so it's really, I wanted to see what the fuss was about through all these past lifetimes. And at the end of each chapter, for each lifetime, I have them in separate chapters. I was working with a literary agent at the time, and she's like, you need to lighten it at the end. And I had just recently seen the light in an experience. And so I said to my friend who was helping me at the time, well, let's go through the light in each of the end of these, each at the end of each of these lifetimes and see what happens. And it was kind of all the same. Now, when I was a child and past, in the one lifetime, I was in Ohio, I had polio. And so I'm laying in bed. And I remember, I think I'm like 7 or 8, I'm not that old. I remember in spirit sitting up out of my body and looking back at my body laying behind me and thinking it's funny and just giggling because it was silly. And I was just playing around with it. And then my mother, who had passed in that lifetime, was standing right there waiting for me. And she helped me go into the light. In another lifetime, I was a male, which happens, we're either sex, it doesn't matter, it's whatever, we're here to learn, that we choose the body that we're in. In that particular lifetime, I had fallen over the side of the hill, and when I hit the bottom, it's almost like I came out of my body. And in that moment, I thought about my wife at that time, and I was moved across a continent, it feels like, in China to where my wife was so I could watch over her and my child. And then after I waited until she found out that I was passed, because she didn't find out for a while, and it was super sad, then the light showed up. And then my friend who had already passed showed up and helped me into the light. All the while, my spirit guides are hanging out there. In another lifetime, I kind of floated away from my body, and then Lena is hanging out there with me, and we're floating, and the light's hanging out right there. And she's like, that's where I would go to get the answers of questions and stuff like that. Each very different ways of having that experience of once you've left your body and then seeing the light, going to the other side, that type of thing. Whereas in the first near-death experience, when my child was born, I didn't even see the light. In the second near-death experience, I went in the light with the angel. So it was very different. I hope that answers your question. I'm not really sure.
All different, and they're all...
It's very different.
Yeah, that's what's so beautiful.
No, you did answer. Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. It was just, it's always accessible. As soon as you step out of your body, what seems to happen, I guess, to clarify more for anyone who's listening, every time you step out of your body, whether you're having a near-death experience or if you are under anesthesia, which happens more often than people realize, or remembering a past life death scene where you don't even have to go through that death scene if it's not easy to go through. You can just bypass that. Okay, now you've reached the point where you've stepped out of your body. You don't have to experience any of that trauma. And you're at the point where you now become aware of spirit guides or angels or whoever's there for you at that moment. And almost always people see that experience where someone they know is someone is there, or they start to see silhouettes, which is really they're seeing the greeting room. That's as soon as you look into the light, you kind of see silhouettes of people waiting there for you, which are Passover people, other spirit guides, angels, the whole crowd of everyone that cares about you on such a deep level is all right there for you. It's at that moment then you can connect in with all that. And it's no different. Every person who has seen the light, they're like, oh my gosh, it's so loving. I just want to be drawn to it. It just oozes this golden, radiant light, and you just want to be near it. And I think it's like analogous to like a moth to a light at the outside of your door at night. Why do you think they're banging their heads on that light? They're trying to get in. You know, it's funny to me when you think about it, but it's no different how you feel when you see it. You're drawn to it. But that's a moment of clarity and understanding of a higher level.
And so often in these stories, it's very rare for someone to say, okay, yeah, I'll go back. Like you said, yeah, I'll go back and I want to be with my kids. Sure. Most of the stories I hear, they're like, no, it's good. I'm good. I'm staying here. I don't want to go. Like, this is too good.
And they came back anyways.
And then sometimes they don't have choice. Okay. I've heard so many stories of they didn't have a choice, and their guide was saying, no, it's time, you have to go back. You're not done. You know, then there are times when people do have a choice, when the guardian angel or whoever they're with, the guide says, you can stay here if you want, and you'll just have to start over later, to have another life later, or you can go back. And so they choose to go back even though they really don't want to, because they know that they have work to do.
Well, I'll tell you what, my children being here still and at a younger age, that was definitely an inspiration for me to come back. But Archangel Jophiel got me excited about my future by her showing me this space that I was walking on. And I was like, well, I don't want to miss out on that opportunity. And then for the real of it, Jenny, on a soul level, throughout our entire soul experience, through all of our lifetimes, I mean, if you came into this life and you're on a mission to do something to help others heal, like you're doing, Jenny, and stuff like that, and it's every day you're thinking about it, every day you're thinking about it, every day you're doing something towards it, whatever, you don't want to stop in the middle of it, have to start all over again.
Amen, sister. I mean, I am totally on board with that. I totally agree, because I love listening to these stories. I love to think about the higher realms, and I am so grateful to be here and being in my mission and doing the work that I'm doing, boots on the ground, right? That's where we are.
Boots on the ground. That is definitely a thing. Yeah, because we'll just come back again. Shoot, I messed up. Let me try that again.
How many times have we done that? Millions. I'm not doing that.
Well, I think we get off track, right?
Of course we do.
And trauma happens, and I know in some of my lifetimes, I'm like, man, I was pretty on point for what I needed, but then something would happen, like I'd get killed or something, and I'm like, darn it. And then start all over again. But
right.
I'm determined this lifetime to persist.
Yes. As my one teacher always says, it almost works. And that's what we keep being drawn. We almost get it just right, but we're not here necessarily to get it just right. We're here to wake up and to see who and what we really are, that we are these fractals of the divine source that are having this beautiful experience, so that the divine source is experiencing through us all of this incredible stuff in every atom of creation, which is beyond our little brains can handle, right? I mean, a vast universe.
For sure. I mean, and sometimes people say to me too, the heaven dimensional space is, I call it the land of love.
Yeah.
It's pure unconditional love. I mean, everybody's so happy. You're instantly manifesting. You do whatever, create whatever. And it's just bliss. And so
for other exist, then I hate to say the word, hell, but was there any truth to, so we see that above us, it's all sacred. And is there the darkness below, or is that just myth fully?
I have never seen a hell. I have never I've regressed hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. I mean, and recently someone, I remembered some stuff that was like really not okay lifetime, but he was getting some kind of healing. I mean, in one of my lifetimes in that book I mentioned, I was really a jerk and never saw a hell. You put yourself in your own punishment. If you choose not to go in the light, that would be like a hell, because you're wandering around this earth plane. Your inner light is dimming. Like Daniel, my one spirit guide in that specific lifetime, he said, if you don't go in the light, you'll get lost. And so I went in the light. But I had been wandering around for hundreds of years because I felt like I wasn't worthy of going in the light. I had forgiveness work to do and all that kind of thing, which is what I was working on. As far as hell is concerned, I mean, I have never seen it.
Well, maybe that's good.
Less that way, that never come across me, but I have had people remember some pretty lifetimes that weren't so fantastic and kind of dark in a sense. They didn't have any experience that was any kind of hell, any kind of judgment. You are the only one that judges you 100% of the time. Your spirit guides won't even tell you if you want to have another lifetime or not. They suggest it, encourage it, because you're asking to, you're showing them, hey, I want to work on all these things on my list here. And they're like, okay, here's some lifetimes. Which one works best for you? And I'm like, yeah, that one right there. And they're like, are you sure you want to have a lifetime? They're like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, I think I'll try it again. It's kind of like if you run a marathon, you're like, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? That was so much work. And then you're like, I could do that again.
Oh yeah, I've done it.
Yeah. It's not easy.
That's such an important point. All of what you're talking about, all of these things in terms of like the light and the dark, and it's a pure state of consciousness. It's your consciousness. It's where you put yourself in. No one's doing it to you. We do it to ourselves based on just ignorance. We don't know what we don't know. And, when we call it heaven, and it's not up here or down there, it's here inside of us. It's not anywhere. It's not up in the heavens in the sky.
It's not far.
It's right here. And that isn't the ultimate goal, by the way, right? Is to just be playing in the astral realms. Our ultimate goal is to merge fully back with Source.
Correct.
Which is going to be when we have fully awakened to our full potential and our light.
Correct. Like, right? You're fully connected through all the dimensions consciously.
Exactly. And that's an unfolding and an awakening that happens through. That's why it takes us so long, right? We have so many incarnations because it takes a long time to wake up. It takes a long time. Yeah.
Yeah. Someone spoke about even how your chakras wake up, like your root chakra when you're an infant child. It's all about basic needs and getting nurtured and being fed and warm and all that kind of stuff. And then your sacral chakra wakes up a little bit. You get that interaction. You look at mommy, you look at daddy, and then your solar plexus wakes up and you're like, no, I don't want to do this. I won't eat those peas or whatever. And then your heart chakra opens up and you're snuggling with and giving kisses and stuff like that. And then you're voicing your opinion with your throat chakra. It's no different than you're expressing and connecting through all the rest of them too. Right?
So perfectly said. Yeah, absolutely. There's so much to be said.
So much. Well, I would love to get into it. And if you could help us understand how the listeners, how do we connect with our spirit guides in our everyday life? And I'm just going to hand this over to you because I don't even know the first question to ask besides that. And we'll go from there.
So I guess basics are basics for connecting with your spirit guide. First of all, we have a whole team of spirit guides. When I tune in for someone, I see many different kinds of spirit guides. We have council member spirit guides that help us pick our lifetimes out and help us stay on the path. We have main spirit guides that kind of pair up to help us along in a particular lifetime. Daniel and Lena for me. And so then we have muse-like inspirational guides who might come in droves, they're saying that word, to help you be a mom, to help you create, to help you paint, to help you teach, heal, whatever it is that is your passion, to do this podcast for you guys, to find the technology. Someone's inspiring you specifically for that. And then there are past ever loved ones from other lifetimes who on your dying moment, they make a vow or commitment to you. Now, there are also guardian angels. I do see them very differently. They look angelic and multidimensional and very etheric. You have this team on the other side that are here to help you in this project you call being a human. And it's a lot of work. We need help. You're not alone. So the first thing is to ask your spirit guides to show you a very specific sign. A lot of people pick a feather. It's what I started with. And so if you ask them to show you a feather, then when you see a feather, and I don't care if it's a tattoo on someone's arm or you find it just floating in front of you, that's a sign from the other side. You asked for it and you received it. And so it's a nice, easy something to ask for. but you can get as specific as you'd like. Then you can take the next step. You can ask your spirit guide, okay, who's my main spirit guide? Can you provide me with some kind of interaction or a name? And I've had people see, and I'm just going to use a funny name because they're telling me George, for example, on a billboard or the side of a truck, or all of a sudden someone passes you by in the store and they say, hey, George. And you're like, why am I hearing George 10 times today? So that's your spirit guide trying to make you aware of, whether visually or hearing, his name is George. Now, I'm not saying it's one of your guys' spirit guides' names, or just give me that as an example. But you can have that happen because, again, you've asked for them to provide you with the information. The next way that you can interact with them very easily is when you're sleeping. When you are sleeping, the ego part of you is set aside, and so you're open to connecting to the higher dimensions, to your spirit guides, to the folks on the other side, passed over people, whomever. But you can ask your spirit guide, hey, come meet me in my dreams. Help me understand who you are exactly with clarity. And I love using that, very specific, with clarity. And so I have a lot of people that I've talked to about doing that. They have had then dreams already happening, and they just needed validation that it was really their spirit guide coming through, or they've had dreams after they've asked for that to happen. But I want you to notice what I've been saying a lot of is asking. Your spirit guides and your angels cannot interfere in your life unless you ask. The one time that they can help you, according to my spirit guide Daniel, is at the moment where you've reached the point where it's an exit point and you've gotten to the point where you've learned and you want to go to this next level and stay in this lifetime. They'll help prevent your death. Like how my spirit guide had held my feet to the ground so I didn't get washed into the ocean at that one moment in a near death, not sort of, kind of, not really a near death, but like it could have been my death day kind of thing, my exit point. I didn't ask for Daniel to help me with that. He just helped. And so you have to understand your spirit guides and angels are respecting that we chose to have this life because we wanted to experience free will. And so free will to choose what clothes we wear, how we cut our hair, whatever we talk about, wherever we want to work and do and experience. We choose all of that. And if they would interfere, we wouldn't have free will. So you ask for a sign, you ask for them to give your name, you ask for them to come in your dreams, that type of thing. Because now you've opened that door of possibilities for them to interact with you. Whereas, before they're just like, I wish they'd ask, or they just kind of show up and then they're just kind of like dawdling around, not sure, waiting for you to ask to participate in your life. So being open to asking, and if you are like some people that I have met, it's hard to ask, for help of any kind. I always tell people the more specific that you ask, the more specific that you get the answer, the more specific you receive the help. So like if you're asking your spirit guides, I need help, and they're like, with what? A cup of coffee? And so like you might need help with finding a better job, or you might need help with finding a soulmate, or whatever the case may be. But if you're just asking for help, they might not tailor it to what you truly need, right? So
I love that you're talking about the asking, because I've never asked them questions like you're saying, but I have always, you're also saying spirit guides, but in terms of like, I've always said in my head, guardian angel.
same.
Since I had my first child almost 20 years ago, I have always asked my guardian angel anytime that I thought any one of my kids needed extra. I've always said, okay, it's time for you to go stay with them. You're with them today. Leave me. I'm good. Does that make sense? Like, do they do that? Do they tap out and go when you ask them?
So that's funny.
Or is that a rule breaker?
No, but like you're asking for them to your children are an extension of you. Okay. And so by way of that extension of you, they are capable of watching over them. So, but they each have their own guardian angel and group of spirit guides. So it also feels like when you ask that question, they're showing me that they actually are like, hey, whoever's in, the spirit guide and guardian angel for your kids, make sure you double check what they're doing today, because she's asking,
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's funny. But no, I mean, it's you. It feels like, because you're connected to your children, and we truly are directly connected to them. So it's no different than whenever you do any kind of healing work for yourself, your kids are getting a benefit. It's the same. You're asking your spirit guides to watch over and help them, the guardian angel, it's that intent of that energy going on them. It's no different than a group prayer over someone who's sick. If 100 people are praying over someone that's sick, you betcha they're going to get better, because that's all that good energy, that good vibes are going on that person at that moment. Right? Same. Did that help?
That definitely helped. So we have ask for a sign, ask for a name, like ask for a sign, like example, a feather, like an object, ask for a name, then pay attention to something that you hear often. And then when you're sleeping, ask to meet in your dreams with clarity. Meet me in my dreams with clarity.
Yeah.
And asking is the key.
Yeah, because you could have someone show up in your dreams where it's just some random lady in a red dress or something like that, and you might dismiss it as just some random lady in a red dress. And if you have them show up in your dreams and with clarity, hi, I'm your spirit guide. Nice to meet you. Do you know what I mean? Or they give you some kind of specific. So let's say, for example, you've asked for them to show you a feather. Okay. And so then the next night you say, okay, look, I want you to just come into my dreams so I can meet and be introduced to you, so I can really connect with you on a human level. Right. And then this woman comes into your dreams. For whatever reason, they're showing me this woman dressed in red, and she's handing you this great big feather. When you wake up the next day, you're going to be like, I wonder who that lady was with that white feather. Do you know what I mean? Or you're going to be like, wait a minute, I just asked for a feather, and I asked for them to come in my dreams, and here it is. I've had people that have had dreams with their spirit guides, and they come right out and say, hi, my name's George, and here's your feather. You know what I mean? Like, they're just having fun with it. It's whatever you're open.
It's so beautiful.
So that you can
It's so
remember.
true.
I mean, it's fun.
It is.
You have nothing to lose, right?
Do you carry the same soul group from lives with you? Is it the same angels in all of your lives?
A spirit guide team?
Yes.
And angels. So whenever I tune into someone for their spirit guides, the group is usually between 30 to 50 or so. So that's quite a bit of a difference of folks. And the council member spirit guides, there's usually between 3 to 7, one time 9, but that was just the once. Those spirit guides don't have a lifetime in this earth experience. They're just higher council members. They always appear very wise, very matter of the fact, older. They don't really have a robe on. But your main spirit guides, they pair up. I always am told that there's 14 of them. When I've read some other books, people talk about having 12. But so to answer your question, like the main spirit guides, they pair up depending on what it is that you're focusing on. So Lena has not always been my main spirit guide. Daniel has not always been my main spirit guide. They just happen to be the two that are my main spirit guides for this current lifetime. So, but I have other main spirit guides that have hung out with me and helped me in other lifetimes. For the Muse inspirational spirit guides, I mean, that just changes up depending on what you're focusing on. So, like, for example, in another lifetime, maybe you were someone who was a potter or made bricks or something like that. Not something you're interested in this current lifetime. Probably not. I'm just assuming because you have bricks behind me, it made me think about that. But like, they're showing me you as a potential man making these bricks, forming them, whatever mold, however they make them, I don't even know, and firing them like a piece of pottery, that type of thing. I mean, you would have another whole set of guides helping you get the right formula to mix the clay with the whatever else they stick in there to bake it at a certain temperature for X long and to know whether it's going to work or not. that kind of stuff you don't care about in this current lifetime, right? But in another lifetime, you might have. So then it would be a different kind of inspirational type of beings that would help you in that sense, right? So yes, they change, but the group, when I'm tuning in, I'm seeing someone's whole soul experience. And so these people have helped throughout that person's whole soul experience. And I have met main spirit guides who are not their main spirit guide in this current lifetime, but were relevant and helpful in another lifetime. So they came through to talk about that.
Wow.
So it's the same group, but they changed designated rules, I guess, to help in a particular lifetime or experience.
Fascinating.
It feels complicated, but it's almost like tap out your turn, because they're working on something different in this lifetime.
Yeah.
Like when I've been a guy in other lifetimes, Daniel seems to be there. Because
were you ever royalty or famous?
No, but I've regressed people who were. And so that was cool. I've regressed people that were in the Titanic, which was also cool, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was weird because like it all happened within a couple months. Like, I don't know, it was weird. I have had people from all over time come through, connected to people in royalty, connected to that kind of stuff. One king one time. But like, I don't talk about that kind of stuff because nobody's business.
Well, that must be quite the eye-opener for someone that comes in to get a reading and then they're like, you were a queen. Like, whoa, that is awesome.
I definitely have people who've been on the court come through and princesses or princes and stuff more often than king, queen stuff. But you have to understand, there's not just one king and queen. Back in the day, in medieval times and the Renaissance and all that kind of stuff, there were kings that were over groups of land, right? And so, or there might have been like bards, or not bards, I don't know what they're called. It's not on the top of my head, but like there's other groups that then were under the king, but still kind of were in a castle-y kind of place, and I've had people like that come through. But interesting, it didn't matter who people were. It's all about the experiences and who loved them, who they loved, and that type of thing. Truly, it didn't matter if you were dirt poor living on the streets or if you were near royalty and all that. Like, you could be living in a castle situation and feel as though you had zero ability to choose your life and were enslaved in a sense. You couldn't choose who you wanted to date. You couldn't choose where you wanted to go. It kind of feels like the Chicken Aladdin, where she wasn't allowed, the cartoon, she wasn't allowed to go outside the castle. She had to sneak out, Jasmine, thanks. And so it's definitely comparable to that, because it was so much pressure, so much rules. They had to appear a certain way. It was not an easy life versus, normally when people are remembering a past life with me, it's like normal lifetimes, where like someone the other day was remembering a lifetime where they just had a very loving life. They met this guy. They knew them from whenever they were 8 years old. They experienced through their life. They had 3 kids together. They just enjoyed each other and loved their children and just held hands. And that was what she remembered, because that's what she needed to know, as opposed to someone else who might have remembered a lifetime where they were stuck in victim mode or were in an abusive situation, and they were learning how to, use their personal power to escape out of that situation and to overcome it. I mean, that's what's really more important.
Thank you for saying that, because it's so true. And it isn't about anything else besides what are you learning? How much are you loving?
Right.
That's what matters, no matter what status or what body you're in or what planet you're on.
Who cares about the riches? That's the truth. You can't take any of it with you, but you can take the experience. You can take the connection. You can take that love with you. Right? Because
go ahead.
No, sorry.
No.
You go from lifetime to lifetime re-experiencing these things with your own children over and over again, with your spouse, with these friends. with coworkers. You've had multiple lifetimes with them over time. And it's like, it's not about I've had $1 billion in my bank account. It's about I've had these beautiful relationships with these people. Or I was so alone. And in this lifetime, I have a bunch of people in my life. You know?
Mm-hmm.
It's you're learning how to have those experiences.
Yeah.
So if you could, in 1 or 2 sentences, give a reason why somebody would want to or need to, or what is valuable about having a past life regression session.
Oh boy. In 1 or 2 sentences.
I know. I'm putting
Lord.
maybe a short paragraph. Okay.
Wow. Okay. So, I mean, I was inspired to start learning about past life regression because the woman in that first book, Children's Past Lives, she had healed from a breathing issue. And at that time, I had asthma. And so I was on a mission to find a lifetime to clear out and to remove any energetic connection to why I was having a breathing issue, which was connected to your heart chakra in my instance. And I'm feeling unwanted. And so when people come to me, often it's about helping to heal relationship patterns. So like, the woman I just described to you about her lifetime where she had a very loving relationship, she has no frame of reference in this current lifetime to a very loving relationship. Not her parents, not anybody she's been with, friends, hardly just one that gave her an instance of feeling that love in that unconditional way. So her experience was to go to a lifetime where she could remember something feeling very loving and nurturing. So she had a frame of reference for that. So relationship patterns would be a great reason. If you feel like you're not able to communicate, maybe there's a reason for that in a past lifetime that you can remove it, heal from it, forgive it. So relationship patterns comes up number 1, truly.
Thank you. That is what I wanted you to say because I mean, Karen, you know, I'm in this world with you, so I know how people can feel or think about these things and what's the point, and I don't understand. There are really good reasons to do it. Yes, it's fun and interesting to see this, but there's deeper reasons. It's not for a game. It's actually for healing.
Right.
If you're having like asthma is a beautiful example, and I've heard these before, right? Something that's wrong, like you're feeling like you're having an issue with your throat. There's some deeper reason for it. Exactly.
Sure.
That can be healed. And it doesn't always happen that way, right? But
it took me 5 years and many lifetimes before I figured it out.
Yeah. So it's not like a one-time thing necessarily. I mean,
it can be, but it's not usually.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it takes persistence. It's no different than if you're going to the doctor for a medical thing and you have this thing on your finger and you can't figure it out. You can't figure it out. You can't figure it out. It takes you 5 years to figure it out. You finally figure it out. And you're like, finally, you get that epiphany.
I have a question. So you were talking about the woman who was in a past life where it was full of love. Okay. So yes. I'm just trying to experience or understand. You guys have a much greater experience, so I'm just gaining knowledge here. My understanding is that the lives that we choose are for lessons to learn, and the more lessons we learn, then our growth happens. So she had this loving life and experience. However, then next she came to a life without the love. Why giveth and taketh away? Isn't the growth that you'll keep loving because you learned it?
Good question.
So great question.
Yeah.
Great question. So like that lifetime happened to be a long time ago. And so how to explain this best? So if you think about it like this, let's say you have 100 lifetimes. Now, many times I've asked the question because people have asked me, how many did I have? I'm like, I don't know. They always say infinite because we've had so many in so many ways. Okay. But let's pretend we had 100 just for our conversation here. So in this lifetime, you come in and you're like getting your feet wet and you're figuring out this earth situation and you're going to get used to it, whatever. And then you come upon this lifetime and you had made the decision to learn the lesson of love. Great. You figured it out. And then you come back into another lifetime. You're like, I want to do that again. That's a good time. And your spirit guides, your council member spirit guides on the other side are like, well, you already learned that lesson. Don't you want to learn the lesson of faith? And you're like, yeah, I guess that's on my list, whatever. And so you come back and you learn the lesson of faith, and they give you some ideas of how to go about doing that. You learn love in a different kind of way, right? So it's very different. But for the woman that I'm using as an example, she had this loving lifetime, and then a couple lifetimes later, she had chosen other things to learn about and understand, and then she had a bad thing happen that held her back emotionally. And it could have been a variety of things. It could have, like, often, and honestly, I don't know what they were doing back in Roman and Egyptian times, but this seemed to happen quite a bit for whatever reason. If you were orphaned in some form or fashion on purpose or by not choice, your parents passed or got sick or whatever, or someone came and offered your parents who were very poor a bag of coins, they would give you away as a child to go learn how to be a slave and to be a cleaner somewhere. And so that could be of an instance where you had no choice, no say, throat chakra, no solar plexus choice in the matter. You couldn't stand your ground. Some of these people that have had that happen, it ends badly, could have ended a different way, but it ends badly where they couldn't get out of that. They couldn't escape the situation. They couldn't stand the ground. They couldn't communicate. Maybe they got killed for speaking out or standing their ground or something like that. And so then they go into another lifetime trying to overcome what happened in that past lifetime. They have to overcome, I'm wanted, I am loved, my parents love me, that kind of thing. I can stand my ground, I can speak my voice. And it might take them several lifetimes to get to the point where they learn all of that. Right. So even though they had a very loving lifetime, that doesn't mean that once you have a loving lifetime, there isn't something else that you could potentially learn, because we're all trying to grow in a human way. But for that example, when I asked, okay, what does she need to learn? And they said to me, well, she has 16 different lifetimes that were trauma filled that are contributing to root causes of why she in this lifetime is not having a very good time with men. Did we need to go through all 16? They said no. We just need to show her she has hope, that there is a potential of this loving lifetime, right? Because she's gotten so deep into, well, I guess I'm just going to be in abuse, or I guess this is just what's meant to happen for me, that she has given up on the hope of love. But then there's another thing that can happen also. When you have such a loving lifetime with somebody and you just love them so immensely, and then they die on you, you close your heart off. I could never open my heart again because it hurts so badly when they die. So then you go into other lifetimes where you're with abusive people because you're like, meh, if they die. That's a thing that's happened.
Wow, that makes so much sense.
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple different ways you get to that point. They're giving me the information to tell you right now. But it's frustrating at best, because you have to learn about that and overcome it and realize that you're lovable, or open your heart again, because some people are so closed off to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is why we have to remember that growth isn't linear. You know, it's a spiral, and karma is a spiral, right? Karma is unlearned lessons, and it comes around again to see if we've really gotten if we've passed the test.
Right.
And this is all a beautiful dynamic play of Maya. You know, I think we just need to see that there's a reason for every experience we have, and that we can look at life in more of an understanding of what really is happening versus being a victim to our life, and, you know, even a victim of karma, because we actually have we have so much power. And that's really what I feel so strongly about, right? Is to show people that they have all the power within them and the wisdom within them, and to learn how to tap in to their highest self, and to listen to your guides, and to know that you have choice, and that you can become free from, I mean, I feel really strongly about that, like the death and birth cycle, right? The samskaras, like we can free ourselves from this. And it's great to have lives, and it's beautiful and fun and exciting and a lot to experience. And at some point on your long soul's journey, you'll be ready to move on.
I mean, the more that you forgive, the more that you awaken, the more that you connect in, and every person that you see, they're going through their own journey. You're responsible for everything. Even that car wreck. I could be very resentful of the people that hit into me and the experience I went through, but guess what? Who put that there? I did. On my timeline. If I got off my path, I put that car wreck on my timeline. What was I thinking?
Right.
But look where I am because of it.
Exactly. And that's a whole thing, Karen, that we could talk about for hours, because that's huge right there. That's everything, right? Is
You
to
are
see that. Yeah. And that's very difficult for us, because
absolutely,
as a human, you're like, wait, I would never. But when you're not in a physical form and you're in your spirit body and you're on the other side and you want to learn and you're eager to grow,
it all looks good.
It all feels easy. Like, I can do that. I'm strong. I can do that. And yes, obviously you can. That's why you've chose it.
Right.
So I see those people who've had, as we would say in the human world, like a really hard, you are a warrior. You're right. So courageous. And that's not to be taken lightly. You know, you're in it to win it.
For sure. I mean, and it's, if you are able to have this stuff thrown at you and you are able to overcome it repetitively, I mean, what a better person you are. But then when you get to a certain point, though, it feels like you get it so much that you're like, yeah, I don't need to have to experience it the hard way. You know, now there's an easy path. Like, you know, I could have kept on having asthma and never attempted to try past life stuff for that specifically. And every day taking all those inhalers and doing all the medicine and all the restrictive things I was doing. And now I don't have to worry about that. But it took me 5 years to do it, right? I could have chosen not to. Same. I mean, it's, you do the work. You have to do the work. And it's the prize is loving yourself more, which is an ultimate goal.
Now, I know you have a series of books. If someone is beginner, where would they start? What book would they start with?
Well, beginner. Mm-hmm. So it's funny that you asked that, because I've actually put together this. I don't know if you can see, it's 10 signs. Yeah. 10 signs you've lived a past lifetime. It's a workbook. And so this is like a real lay person kind of thing. I don't even know if you can see that. Mm-hmm. But it's like, why did you just instantly bond with somebody? You know, why? What makes you, I mean, some people believe that they have met someone and they have known them forever. And why do you think that? You know, and where did that come from? And who is that person to you? Or are they like a profound impact on your life? I mean, there's a variety of reasons for that, obviously, but most of the time it's because you've known them in other lifetimes. Or why do you see someone maybe and you're like, oh, I don't want anything to do with them? Is it your intuition guiding you against connecting with them on some level? Could be. But sometimes it has to do with, even if they're standing there, they look like a totally normal, very nice person. You're like, hard pass. No, don't even want to interact with them. They might have really hurt you in some deep way in another lifetime, and you don't want to repeat that pattern again. So interesting, right? Sorry, I got a little off tangent. But it's definitely, I mean, that is a downloadable PDF if you wanted to do that on my website. Just sign up for emails from me, which I don't really send too many out, maybe once or twice a year. But it's really a nice little thing if you like to have it printed. That's on Amazon. But if you want to just kind of delve into I guess, stick your feet in to get a little bit wet on the past life regression part of it. I talk about my journey because I was trying to understand what was all the fuss about past life regression. I mean, I was truly trying to focus and understand the healing aspect of asthma for myself. But I wanted to see, do you grow on any kind of level? Are you just kind of thrown into these different lifetimes in any kind of way? Or are you eking up a hill here or a staircase of growth? And so what they've shown me through working on my own is in fact, yes, every lifetime that you choose to have, you're growing on some deeper soul level. It's no different than how you've grown in this current life. As an infant child, you don't know a whole lot. And as you get to a teenager, you think you know everything. And then as you get into your 20s and 30s, you're like, well, I didn't know everything. My parents were kind of right about some of this stuff. And then you get into your older, 50s or whatever, and people look at you as wise and understanding a lot of things about a lot of life and all that kind of stuff. It's no different than as you go through your lifetimes. You start out kind of knowing a little bit, and you learn a little bit more, and you learn a little bit more, and you grow on such a deep level. So, yeah. I mean, I would start with this one then next, because that's 16 different lifetimes. And then if I have 3 books online so far, let me grab this because I dropped it earlier. And then if you are serious about healing relationship patterns, this one is for people who are trying to learn how to love themselves, because someone cannot love you only as much as you love yourself. So this is making true love. It's not about going to bed, but it's through breaking patterns, relationship patterns through past life regression. Because like how I explained to you, when you closed your heart in a lifetime, you might have to remember that lifetime where that person died on you to help you heal. And that's not easy. Or you might remember a few lifetimes that were not especially wonderful to remember, but helps you understand why you are type A, why you don't feel compelled to speak up, that type of thing in this current lifetime. And no matter what relationship you're talking about, with your own family, with your spouse, whomever, that type of thing. It's very far-reaching.
I love that you dedicated a book to self-love. Jenny and I talk about that often on here, about the importance of self-love. Yeah. I'm so glad.
I mean, it's the truth, because no one can love you only as much as you love yourself. If you respect yourself and set boundaries, then other people will respect you in that same way.
Yeah, and trying to get people to understand there's a difference between being selfish and self-love. Like total separate.
Correct. Yeah. And there's difference between commanding respect and demanding respect.
You want to go into that? Why not? Yeah.
I mean, if you are more of a dictator, then you would be like, you have to respect me or you're going to get punished. If you're commanding respect, you're respecting your time, your energy, your everything. It's like setting boundaries, really. It's the example they always like for me to give. You've finally sat down to enjoy a book with a hot cup of tea. And then someone calls you or texts you, oh my gosh, I have to interject and interrupt your day, and my life is chaos or whatever, and I need you to drop everything and drive me someplace or do whatever. And you're like, I'm in the middle of something. I can get back to you in a few hours or tomorrow, but for right now, I'm in the middle of something. You don't have to explain yourself. You're letting them know that you are respecting your time. You just needed a couple hours to read your book you've been setting aside for 6 months. Have that cup of tea when it's hot and enjoy that time for yourself without any guilt or remorse. That's respecting your time and yourself, right? And that person, whether they wait for you for a few hours or for the next day, they're going to respect you more. Well, I need to respect her time and energy, because she can't just drop everything at the drop of the hat. And if they're narcissistic, they'll find somebody else to do it for them. That's the truth, right?
Yeah, sure.
Does that make sense? Where it's demanding the respect. It's like you walk in the room and you have that calm, relaxed presence about you, and it's all good.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Karen.
Like, give to me for especially with people that are very much a giver and don't focus on taking care of themselves, which we're taught. If you went to Catholic school or anything like that, I mean, you're taught, oh my gosh, you can't do anything for yourself. It's so selfish. I'm going to go to hell, whatever.
Oh yeah.
It's
which we did grow up in that world.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
We're very familiar.
But I mean, that was like pressured upon you. But being selfish is very different. I mean, it's, to me, being selfish would be hoarding knowledge and money and stuff that you don't need. It's like, yeah, as opposed to sharing your skills and gifts with others, and an energetic exchange, sure, right? but within reason, and allowing yourself to be open to receive, as well as helping and giving and sharing, which is a
yeah.
lesson, right?
Well, it's a big lesson. Yeah, it's one that I'm learning.
It's hard to do sometimes, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Karen, what do you hope that people feel or experience with either reading your books or working with you personally? What do you want them to experience from that?
I guess I guess the main gist that I have put out there often is to feel comfortable getting connected with their whole soul's journey, and learning and healing from that, whether it's through past lives, in between lives, whatever or however you need to go to journey to that. It's really about feeling comfortable with the process of healing and loving yourself even more, and recognizing that you're so much more than this human. So much more.
Now, is a past life regression something that's like, oh, I'm not saying one and done in that harsh of a way, but is it something that, like, say I do a past life regression with you this week, should I do another past life regression with you in a month? Or is it like you've done it, you've seen it?
Well, it depends on what you want to get out of it, right? So, like, I had someone come the other day. The last time I saw her was 10 years ago. And she had come for a past life regression then, just to try it out. And then this time she came because she's like, I don't know why this is happening repetitively. I have this pattern happening. I want to figure out, get to the root cause. And so then she had a very different experience. It was when she was ready. When someone asks me, hey, how many times do I need to do this with you? Should I come every month? Whatever. I'm like, it's up to you. You'll know. Because, I mean, when you can't force someone to heal, right? If someone's not ready to, then it's not their time. I actually have people that come to me every month. I have people that come to me once a year, every 6 months, just once, and I don't see them again, but I might. I don't really know. For me, when I was working on it, I was doing it as often as I could. I started with a self-guided hypnosis meditation, and I listened to it every day for 30 days before I had any inkling of a past life come through. So that's persistence, right? So you can come to me in person. I have guided meditations on my YouTube channel. There are other ones out there. There's lots of information out there now about it, but it's what you want to choose to learn about that. So let's say, for example, you come to me and you want to focus on seeing some lifetimes that you've had with your kids. So then a couple come up and you get to see yourself interact with your kids in a lifetime, which
Oh, okay.
explains.
You could get very specific.
For sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And really interconnect with them and understand. Like, I had a woman come to me. She was pregnant at that moment. She now has the child, but she was pregnant at that moment, and she had a lifetime memory of what her son was like in a past life, and why he chose her, and all that kind of stuff, why he picked the name.
Beautiful.
She was awesome. And so that was really cool. I mean, I've had people just try to understand why they have a specific kind of career. But the coolest thing, let's say, for example, you want to focus on your own personal healing abilities, and you want to remember a lifetime where you were so good at being intuitive and a healer. So then you can go back into a past lifetime, remember that lifetime, and then bring forward your knowledge and skills into this current lifetime to reclaim them, in a sense, remember them, that you have them. A lot of people come to me for that as well, which is super cool. Because that's fun for me too. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's just so much. It's not just, oh, cool, I have a past life. Meh. It's more than that. It's always about the healing, and sometimes you don't recognize it. Like, I was a big germaphobe. When I was learning more information for this book, I was writing it and my friend was reading, and she's like, you're not going to put in there that you overcame being a germaphobe? I'm like, gosh, I didn't even realize that happened. Because I had remembered a lifetime where I had drank tainted water that made me very sick and caused my death, and germs, right? And so in this current lifetime, my kids are little, I was like a fiend about wiping everything down and all that kind of stuff. And then after I remembered that lifetime, I didn't even realize it. I was like, nah, the germs will help them grow stronger. You know what I mean? And it's funny how I went from, I just kind of turned the tables on that germophobia stuff.
Wow.
That's
Yeah,
remarkable.
sometimes you don't even realize what you've healed.
Yeah.
It can be pretty impactful. Yeah, it's whenever you're ready. I tell people, you'll know.
Well, I think if you're listening to this podcast right now with Karen as our guest, it's a sign that maybe you should consider being ready, because this has been such a gift. Honestly, such a gift for Jenny and I to connect with you, and now to connect you with our listeners. I feel like we're giving them the gift of your presence and your abilities that you've brought to this. What would you guys say? Earth? Try to speak the language. Yes.
Airplane.
Yes. And we're very grateful for you. And
yeah, I appreciate you guys.
yes. I don't know. Do you guys have anything else that you want to share today with our viewers?
Karen?
Well, you can reach out to me at KarenKubicko.com and just, schedule something with me. Find some of my free things I have on YouTube. I got books. I got a past life course on my website. So it's all good.
Yes.
However you get the healing, I try to provide a ton of stuff out there for people to do.
Thank you for that. Thank you for all the work that you do for humanity, Karen. It's really very important and needed. So I really appreciate that. And
grateful for that.
Yeah, you stepped into your gifts and you're sharing them with the world. And that's the best thing we can do,
On a mission.
You are. I know it, sister. I feel you.
You're on the same one.
I am very strongly. Sure. Yeah.
And I appreciate you guys having this podcast, inviting me on here. I mean, it was wonderful to be able to spend that time with you beforehand, for sure. And to gift you those readings, for sure.
Yeah, thank you so much. And we'll put all of your information in the show notes, so they'll have links and everything, so you'll have easy access to Karen. Yeah,
absolutely. And once again, we want to thank all of our listeners. We love you all so much. We're so grateful for you. Don't forget to share us with your friends and your family and your neighbors, and follow us on Sister Sessions Instagram for all the latest news. And to learn more about Karen and her books and courses and her past life regression work, visit her website at www.karenkubicko. It's Kubicko, Karen with a K, KarenKubicko.com, and start exploring your own soul's journey today.
Thank you.
All is well.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the Sister Sessions podcast. If you found inspiration in today's conversation, we'd love it if you shared the episode with your besties, family, or even your favorite neighbors. We'll be back next week with more to share, but until then, remember, meditation is the key to unlocking your inner peace. All is well, friends. See you soon.